You dog. You scallywag.
Let's talk about some misses, because here's the thing. We can be surprised. We can talk about all this good shit that's happening, what we love. But let's be real, not everything worked out for us.
How many of these do you have?
I had 6, and now I got 7 after last night.
Oh, okay, you can go first, because I have 6.
And it was absolute dog shit. Joker 2. Why do we have so many bizarre, bad, like not even good musicals this year? I thought music was supposed to be good in these movies, but it seems like they ran with the first script that they pumped out, and it was honestly horrible. It was honestly trash.
That's one that I specifically did not go see because I heard so much bad things. And I just feel like they're losing the plot. Like the first movie, he's already barely Joker. Why is he even, what makes him the Joker at this point?
This movie fought to even find a reason to exist, and it failed.
I have someone who needs me.
How about you, Arthur? Do you still think you're a star?
My first disappointment is a movie called Cuckoo with Hunter Schafer.
You know, I only vaguely heard about it. I don't really know much about this one.
Well, you're not missing much. The trailer made it look so freaking cool. She gets this like weird job at this kind of isolated resort where she's like working the late shift at the front desk. And there's this scene in the trailer where she's on her bike and at night, and you see this like shadow like kind of creeping up on her, and then she turns around and there's like this lady sprinting after her on the bike. I watched the whole movie, and that is like the only good scene in the whole movie. Like that scene is amazing. The rest of the movie just ended up being very generic, and this one really let me down. And I love Hunter Schafer, and I think she did great in it, but the screenplay just did not do it for me.
But yeah, no, It didn't look that good to me.
Yeah, you're not missing anything with that one.
That's a f***ing weird way to put it.
Did you see Immaculate?
I did. I was also kind of disappointed by that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, honestly, it's just weird because I watched this about a week after I watched The First Omen, and they are the same f***ing movie. Like,
yeah, they came out at the same time.
I heard about someone who went and saw them on a double feature and felt like he was tripping out, because afterwards I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's not just me. I was like, I felt like I had already seen this movie. It was like late night in my bedroom both times I put it on, like streaming, and I just like watched them, and both times I was getting tired. But the second time I was like, I feel like I've seen this. Immaculate's just a much worse version of The First Omen to me.
Yeah, my 2 cents is, the Immaculate just felt like so boring. Even First Omen is probably a testament that they could have made a really scary, tense movie with that concept. You see Sydney Sweeney screaming for like a minute straight. Like that was my favorite part of the movie. And it's like I had to sit through an hour and a half of nothing to get there. Next most disappointing is Megalopolis. I'm glad that I have a space to talk about this movie. I've seen people online saying that it's gonna be a cult classic and like you just don't get it yet and all this stuff. And I think that this is just a stupid movie. It's been built up as like this magnum opus of Francis Ford Coppola's career, and he's been working on it for like 30 years and all this stuff. Came across as so on the nose, but also like saying nothing at the same point. In the trailer you see all this like crazy kind of futuristic looking architecture and stuff, and that does play a big role in the movie, and I mean maybe this is intentional, but they never explain like what it actually does. It's just like this magical substance that this one architect uses. At the end you see like this kind of magical looking golden city, but it wasn't triumphant, it wasn't magical to me. I think if you're gonna watch it, then just like get drunk and watch it with friends and laugh at it, because you're not gonna leave with this like profound magnum opus experience.
So some of the movies I'm gonna say on here, I don't even think are bad. They're just disappointing.
True.
Compared to what I thought. I'll say one that's just bad here. How about Trap? I thought Trap was I don't know.
I liked it until they left the venue, but then the last 30 minutes just felt like a waste. But also the whole time they're at the concert, I like couldn't figure out the tone it was going for, because it's like supposed to be like super tense, I would think, but all the dialogue is like very silly and like not really taking the situation seriously.
You took the words out of my mouth. I wrote that it's like, I think this is supposed to be a thriller because I couldn't figure it out. I said M. Night. Literally, I wrote this down, and I think I need to say it out loud. M. Night needs to be investigated by someone more reputable than the U.S. government because the movie starts out strong, but it just loses me because it gets stupider and stupider with every additional ending. Just like you, I said, it had an extra 30 minutes it didn't need, just like Old. We need to do an M. Night vid, honestly.
And there's the clip of the main actress from that movie that I've seen on Twitter because people are clowning her performance, where she's like, "Your husband, he's the butcher." And it's just the epitome of like how bad the last 30 minutes were.
I actually got actively angry because I thought it was like pretty bad, and then the last 30 minutes I started angrily being like, why isn't it over? I'm like, what is there to do? So it's like a 2 out of 10.
My next disappointment is also just a bad movie that I would not recommend. And this is coming from me as someone who enjoyed the first 2 Venom movies, but Venom 3, The Last Dance or whatever it's called, it opens with Noel. I think the opening lines of the movie are, "I am Noel." And he's like Noel's really cool if you know anything about the comics, kind of the god that created the symbiotes. And he has this epic intro at the beginning of the movie, which is the conclusion of the Venom trilogy. And you see him a couple more times, but the whole movie is just one of his minions, just this generic ass monster symbiote creature. And there was just never any tension with this monster. The movie tried to be funny but wasn't. It tried to be this quirky road trip movie when the threat doesn't feel real and the stakes just don't feel like they're there, and you're just kind of waiting for Noel to show up and he never does. It didn't hit the way that it should have. I think this could have been a good movie, but it really just wasted all its potential.
Even though I like Noel, it's not enough to really make me think it's going to be a good movie,
Yeah, maybe he'll come down to earth in the next Venom movie if there is another Venom movie, but skip Venom 3.
Let's move on to Amelia Perez. You seen that?
That's another one I refuse to see, kind of like Joker 2.
Well, luckily for you, I saw it twice for the both of us. I turned it on, and I had to stop it after about 20 minutes. And then the second time, I got to about an hour and 15 before my girlfriend forced us to stop. So I'm just letting you know there's a controversy, but compared to Amelia Perez, give Wicked Best Picture, because Amelia Perez is a rough movie. I don't know who thought that these lyrics would be good, that this subject matter would be appropriate. It feels very forced and very bad, and it's never been more awkward than me watching. It's supposed to be a serious version of Mrs. Doubtfire, where the kids say, "You smell like dad" in a song. And I'm like, I can't handle this. I'm like, this is weird. This is getting very strange. It's very creepy. The trans community doesn't like it. Mexico doesn't like it. Frankly, I don't like it. So that's what I have to say.
I think you summarized the controversy and reception very well. So all I have to add is, from man to woman, woman to man, penis to vagina. The fact that it's nominated, second most Oscar-nominated movie of all time is abominable. And
it has as many noms as Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that's not right. And I saw a tweet that said something like, the Academy is just the white parents from Get Out. So they have performative activism. So let's give this all the nominations,
It's no, you should have just picked Do the Right Thing, you idiots.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that anymore the rest of the video, right?
No, not at all. That was it.
Okay, good. Okay.
Anything you need, just put on my tab, okay?
Thank you, dear. Touch me again, I'll drown you, you bastard.
My next most disappointing is Maxine. This is supposed to be the epic conclusion of the X trilogy, Pearl trilogy. And I loved X. I think Pearl is really cool, and I feel a big kind of it had a big cultural impact and is very much in the zeitgeist, people know Pearl. But then Maxine is supposed to be this big budget, kind of spectacular conclusion. Kind of a pretty movie to look at, but the substance just was not there, the tension was not there, And then it's kind of like the main like villain is kind of just Deus Ex Machina'd in at the end, and it's just there's not enough of a reason for this movie to exist, and it like did not give itself a reason. I would definitely not recommend this. Even if you've seen the other two X movies, just skip this one.
I kind of want to take it to a sequel that disappointed me.
You will be my instrument.
Who are you?
Gladiator 2. It's a fine movie. Honestly, some people could call it a good movie. I'm not. I'm going to say it's average. It's fine. It's like a 5 out of 10. The thing about Gladiator 2, there's absolutely nothing in this world that has convinced me that it will ever be necessary. It did not need to be made. Nostalgia factor was like the only reason it was made. And half the movie was like, your dad was great. Maximus. What a guy. A lot of the characters were half-baked, and it just sucks because the original Gladiator was probably an all-time movie. People still remember it. People still talk about it. I have it on Blu-ray. This one I'm probably never going to watch again. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like it just redid the formula in a less compelling way. So.
Because I really don't think it's going to stand up to history.
I remember that day.
All right, my next disappointment is called Aggro Drift.
I have never heard of this movie.
So this is Harmony Korine, who's most famous for a movie called Gummo. It's like a documentary that takes place in a city in Ohio, I think. But he's done like a lot of critically acclaimed stuff. His mind's gone in these weird places. And this movie looked really cool. It does look really cool. It's filmed or shot in like infrared, so like kind of heat map type of looking thing. A lot of the characters have masks that look like kind of AI generated, wavering around and like morphing around as the characters are like moving and talking. Like there's mostly just one character talking and narrating the whole time, and he just was not it. I am the world's greatest assassin. Like, I can kill anyone. Like, that's like the dialogue the entire movie. Travis Scott is randomly in this movie. His part just felt like completely tacked on and completely ad-libbed, and he's just like rambling about nonsense. It really lost the plot when he showed up. The movie and the screenplay and the acting, just not it. Oh, and he actually directed Spring Breakers, I believe.
Yo, that was a big movie at that time.
But I feel like
that was like A24's coming out party, you know?
Yeah, the rest of his movies are very kind of like experimental and cutting edge in different ways.
Coming off of 2023, this guy had directed my favorite movie of the year, and I had very high expectations, but Kinds of Kindness by Yorgos Lanthimos, it was not even bad, I'd say, but it was so confusing. The things that they focused on were like hypnotic to the point of like, yeah, I couldn't really focus. It might be some people's things, but it's very avant-garde or art housey, and I kind of felt disappointed even after trying to rewatch it recently, because I wanted to give it a real fair shake for this video, and I was like, no, I am disappointed. It was a miss for me. Is a better way to put it. Not a bad movie, but
Yeah, and I love Poor Things, and was kind of assuming this would be like kind of his next epic movie, but it does definitely feel like kind of the disappointing follow-up to like a huge blockbuster. But yeah, a couple of my friends love this movie, and I didn't put it in my disappointments, but I feel the same way you feel about it. Way too confusing, and like the three stories felt like inconsequential to each other, but also kind of like to themselves.
yes.
The first one was the only one that had kind of like a satisfying epic conclusion, which
was a
like,
car crash one.
Yeah, we just watched like 40 minutes of build up just for like a big laugh at the end. Is what it felt like. And I'm sure there is more to it, like the one character who shows up in all three parts but plays like no role, but he has the same name in all three parts. I'm sure there's something to that.
I just want to hammer home the fact that these are actors in their prime. Emma Stone just won Best Actress. Willem Dafoe's in Nosferatu. Jesse Plemons was in Civil War. What Kind of American Are You? Like, these are people we've already been talking about today. I don't see where the production was going. There's artistic merit. I'm just not sure what the big idea was.
Yeah.
And it hit me hard.
Are you familiar with the concept of evolution?
This is a sequel called Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Ooh,
And
that's
the
interesting.
reason this disappointed me is because I love all the other Planet of the Apes movies in this series. I feel like they have been like building up in compellingness and intensity over time. And this one, like, I thought started really strong when you're seeing the apes like climbing up like the cliff sides and like kind of all the rocky terrain to try to catch a falcon. You're like tracking the ape like falling down this cliffside. Super well shot and directed. But then the whole rest of the movie, I'm like, why are they even monkeys at this point? Like, they're literally functionally just humans performing a human drama with like no like relevance to the fact that they're monkeys at this point. Like, I feel like they're losing the plot. If there was like more monkeying incorporated, or like the story,
They're just walking around exploring the old world.
walking around,
if it's an
talking
apocalypse.
around, having all these like human politics.
To me, the movie was very interesting, but it was a step down from the trilogy. I thought it would be a bigger step down. I think my expectations were lower, so that's why I ended up with a better perception. What's his name? Proximus? Is that his name? The big bad guy? Yeah, it didn't feel like he could carry the movie. It just felt like another generic big bad blockbuster villain. Some of the more interesting things to me in the movie were the human, played by I think William H. Macy. But like you said, they didn't really spend a lot of time on these ideas. You know, they're just flying through it. So I feel like I'm gonna disappoint you. So this is my last miss. Very hyped for this movie. Kind of left the theater disappointed. It just didn't stick with me. I feel like they didn't stick the landing. Long legs. Not a fan. It's not like it's like trash. For me, it just felt very slow. It felt like the twist with the ending, it did not stick it for me. It like honestly brought the movie down for me because Nick Cage was doing pretty good. You know, I almost feel like they didn't give him enough to do with a very great performance and very great makeup. And even though I actually like the vibe and I like the Zodiac kind of feel, I just remember leaving the theater and being like, really? That was like what we got out of it? I don't know. So, but Nick Cage, I'm not gonna say he did bad in that movie.
I think those are valid complaints.
Nah, it's just slow and weird. But like, it's not poorly made. I think people are very split. They're very divided about this movie. I talked to someone the other day who said it was their favorite horror movie of the year, and I was like,
yeah, that one, when it came out, it was one of my favorite horror movies of the year, but then as more came out, it just slowly ticked down and down the list.
there were a lot of good ones. I didn't even talk about Red 1.
Oh, did you see that?
Oh yeah, I watched Red 1.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Don't tell me not to live, just sit and putter. Life's candy and the sun's a ball of butter. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade.